Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hi there, and welcome back.
Thank you guys for joining us. So this one's an Earth change update, and there's a lot to update. I mean, there's so much going on here.
I know it feels like we missed like 3 days, but we didn't.
I know. You know, Cindy and I, we went to the park today, and we were doing, after our Qigong and meditation, well, actually during Qigong, it felt like we were swimming through the atmosphere. It's thick here. You could tell storms are coming, and boy, are they coming, and they've been in progress. As we see here, storms trigger flooding, spawn tornadoes in the southern plains, Missouri and Arkansas. Severe weather brought flooding and tornadoes that caused damage in parts of Oklahoma, Missouri, other states overnight into Wednesday afternoon. Flooding reported in Branson, Missouri, as well as other areas including Abilene, Texas, and Bentonville, Arkansas. And, you know, you get pictures of this. This is like a tree down, and this is a cabin that's on the National Registry of Historic Places. And, man, you know, southern Missouri is gorgeous. The area around Branson is just breathtaking and just so beautiful. It is one of the more pretty places in the country. You had a tornado touchdown in Pauls Valley, Oklahoma, about 60 miles south of Oklahoma City. At least one house was damaged there. No injuries. EF1 tornado over in Stillwell, Oklahoma. It's getting busier out there. As we look at this, look at it. There's a road just gone, car in the water. We've seen this so many times.
Yeah, this is really scary, and it's sad for those whose lives are being changed forever.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine it's just horrible. 10 reports at least of tornadoes from the same storm system on Tuesday in eastern Colorado, northwestern Texas, southern Oklahoma. Hail between 3 and 4 inches in diameter reported in parts of Colorado and Texas. Yeah, I heard them saying locally it could be as big as a softball. And so, you know, that could be deadly. You got the quadruple threat of flooding rain, large hail, damaging thunderstorm winds, and a few tornadoes in play from Texas to the Ohio Valley through Thursday. Wow. We have already had so much going on. You see the threat of severe thunderstorms here, you know, pretty much right in the area that we're used to being in now and are getting used to. So be very prepared. And what was really interesting too, as I was watching the Weather Channel, and it looked like right around Dallas, and then it wasn't as bad, and then right around like San Antonio, Austin, there were some spots that they could get 5 to 8 inches of rain. 5 to 8 inches of rain is potentially very, very deadly. And my question is, you know, wow, is that a coinky dink right around 2 of the largest cities in the country?
I know, that's pretty huge, and it's a big issue.
Yeah, you know, it's, yeah, there we go. Gets us thinking about the harp that angels don't play.
Yeah, that harp that angels don't play like that.
Yes. Three Rivers fire, and this is over in New Mexico. New Mexico wildfires chart at least 12,000 acres. There's actually quite a few little fires going right now in New Mexico and Arizona. And the Three Rivers fire has grown from burning 4,000 to 12,000 acres in New Mexico, according to a press release. This is a pretty area, a beautiful area. It's about 60 miles northeast of White Sands National Park, 3 hours south of Albuquerque. And this fire started about half mile north of Three Rivers Campground and has spread almost to Ski Apache and into the South Fork Bonita area. It's being driven by steep terrain and extreme fire weather conditions, including gusty winds and low humidity levels around 8%. So you had evacuation notices that had been issued for certain areas. I don't know. The fire is just scary. You know, that was one of the things we were thinking about, you know, and when we were smelling it in Nevada and just, you know, it looked like a Martian landscape. I'm a pretty good swimmer. Maybe I'll take my chances swimming as opposed to being BBQ.
I would too.
Yeah. Now, who knows? We have this mysterious melting of Earth's crust in western North America.
Wow.
From BC, Canada to Sonora, Mexico. That's ominous. You know, we've done so much exploring the deserts between Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico, and over into Colorado as well. It's our history is just they're not giving us everything. That's for sure. We can sense there's been so much tragedy out that way. There's been so much sudden destruction. I've talked about it before. There's a great crater that is south of Winslow, Arizona. And going through that area almost gives me a panic attack because I could sense that there was something really bad that happened there from above. And Cindy gets that it was kind of a titanic war.
Definitely, and it was a nasty one too. There was body parts, guts, and everything. It was gross.
And you're talking of giants.
Giants, yes.
Of giants, yeah. There's a lot to the western U.S., Western North America that's been completely hidden. But this is curious. A group of University of Wyoming professors and students have identified an unusual belt of igneous rocks, I should say, that stretch for over 2,000 miles from British Columbia, Canada, through Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Southeast California, Arizona, into Sonora, Mexico. And geoscientists usually associate long belts of igneous rocks with chains of volcanoes at subduction zones, like Mount Shasta, Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Rainier. What makes this finding so interesting and mysterious is that this belt is located much farther inland away from the edge of the continent, and it doesn't contain any evidence for producing volcanoes. Curious. In fact, all of the melting to generate the igneous rocks originally took place deep underground, 5 to 10 miles beneath the surface. So they think it must have been induced by some sort of movement of water, which gets me thinking mud flood.
Yeah.
Right? Movement of water coming up, perhaps through the different layers up to the surface. Is this what we're going to be seeing in 2024? And again, our friend David, DAP 2030, he thinks it's a real possibility.
Well, I did see the Earth like turning inside out, kind of.
Yeah, that was curious how the guys show that to you.
Yeah.
The sun to super flare, perhaps during the summer of 2023. While the grand solar minimum will cause enough headaches and struggles to keep the human race occupied, not to mention all the technology, there is an even more destructive threat looming: the shifting of Earth's magnetic poles and the resulting depletion of our planet's magnetic field. One of the top scientists on the subject, Diamond over at Oppenheimer Ranch, has gone so far as to call the intensifying magnetic reversal his biggest worry. It's my firm opinion that the magnetic reversal is more severe than the grand solar minimum could ever be, says David Moriello, because new research suggests that the combined effects of, first, a waning magnetosphere, side effect of the magnetic reversal, and excursions, which can drop Earth's magnetic field strength to below 10%. That's, shields are down, Scotty. They're down. And a powerful plasma discharge from the sun could be due in as little as 2 years. So, what will the solar maximum bring during the grand solar minimum is a big question. Citing a new study, discovery of an extremely short duration flare from Proxima Centauri, which we've talked about, and, I kind of wonder, is that also related to that galactic superwave that's coming by? Because Proxima Centauri is pretty damn close in the neighborhood. So one of the largest flares ever recorded in our galaxy, 100 times more powerful than those emitted that we've seen by the sun, or that we know of, or that they're sharing as well. Proxima Centauri is a red dwarf, smallest, dimmest, most common type of main sequence stars in the galaxy, located only 4.25 light years from Earth. So interesting to see what will happen. And of course, you guys know solar flares are tremendous explosions in the atmosphere of the sun, capable of releasing as much energy as 1 billion plus megatons of TNT. And the other thing is, in these times, magnetospheres down, magnetic pole reversals, and new species DNA mutations. So putting all this together as we head towards, we've come out of this, the minimum for this cycle. So what will the maximum bring? And so that's what they're looking towards. But we've gotten from the guides, yeah, we might see power outages. We might see all sorts of outages coming. More than likely, that's going to be kind of becoming a norm. We'll be getting used to being without power for different periods of time for different reasons. Think about Texas, guys. The big one, as far as frying everything, is probably still maybe a couple decades away.
It is. We got some time, but that doesn't mean we lollygag. We got to be busy.
No, we prepare and we get ready. Climate change has been altering Earth's axis for at least 30 years. Global warming is making the Earth wobble on its axis. Now, of course, Life Science, NASA. This is, this is a website from the official sources. The official sources. So they're saying that, well, obviously, and Cindy was getting that the Earth is much more delicate than you think. The balancing act is much more tenuous than you think. So when we have certain areas like West Antarctic ice sheet, which is melting because of vulcanization, it's melting because the volcanoes are going off underneath it. In reality, we're heading towards colder times. That's what's coming. The guides have concurred. But again, all these things are part of a much bigger cycle. And then we have all that artificial flavoring that just throws everything, up in the air.
It sure does. It really throws a wrench in everything.
So here they're just basically doing the usual and blaming human-induced carbon emissions, things like that, global warming. Why don't they ever even talk about the technology that's out there? Why don't they talk about weather warfare? We don't really hear it out there, but we know it exists. And when I see, 2 flood zones around Dallas and San Antonio, and the less populated areas in the middle don't seem to be getting as much rain as far as the flood potential, well, that really throws up question marks to me. Strong and shallow 6.4 quake hits Assam, India, by the way. And, this is a powerful quake, most definitely a 6.4. So the depth was 17 kilometers, according to EMSC, and USGS reporting it at 34 kilometers. Thankfully, though, we don't know of any fatalities, but with these areas too, it's hard to, you get reports trickling in basically, because there's definitely a lot of people in the area, so we'll send our prayers out to them. UK hit by frostiest April on record, farmers and growers reporting considerable damage, and we are absolutely not surprised.
No, we're not.
The month has already recorded an average of 13 days of air frost, topping the 11 days set in April of 1970. So, records, yes. And shortages, yes. We've talked about the French wine. It's just growing, and then there's the whole trucking industry, as they're talking about there being a lack of truckers, and then others are saying there's no lack of truckers. It's just this perfect storm that we've had hitting us that has shut everything down. It's equaling the potential for building famine. Is what's coming. Around 8,000 families affected, 2,000 displaced. This is over in Burundi as we look at water inundating this city.
Yeah, that's really sad. These folks, their whole livelihoods were just wiped away.
And again, crops, same thing. Floods affect 1,700 families. Will jump over the pond, and this is over in Barbacoas in Colombia, as you see the floods there. It's everywhere we look. We were talking about the flooding going on right now in Texas and up through the center part of the country, and we have so many records coming down. Midwest and eastern vineyards hit by historic snow and freeze events as well. So it's not only your French wine going up, it's also going to be the wine from the U.S. as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's too bad.
As well as, of course, all the other crops. You know, I drove by today. This person has a really nice garden going outside and stuff, and they had plastic sheeting out there hanging just in case. They're ready for anything,
Yeah.
even though it was like 86 today. 86 today, but who knows? It might frost in a couple of days.
It could. We just don't know with all this stuff going on.
So you got 68 global warming models, right? The temperature actually observed has been below in 67 of the 68. So that makes me think, are you guys trying to push an agenda here? I mean, if you're pushing the global warming all the time, and of course I say this facetiously because we understand what's going on. Polar chill grips New Zealand and Arctic sea ice extent holding above 79 to 1990 average. And yeah, we are seeing it building in many other areas as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just on and on. It doesn't stop.
U.S. ties deadliest avalanche season on record, breaks the 1910 record there. And we have Europe bracing for extreme May freezes. Check that out. It's going to be cold through Germany and, over into Poland and then down, towards the Black Sea. It's going to just be cold, period. You're going to have these sweeping events coming down. We're talking to our brother David in the UK. Hey, David. As he's not only growing inside his apartment, he grows like 80% of the food he eats. Not kidding. It's good sized apartment, but it's not huge. But then he's got an allotment that he's built, and he's actually put in a greenhouse that is under the ground. It goes down, I think he said 4.5 feet or so. So he's ready. He's ready for it. He's ready and he's prepared. And this is a man on an extremely limited budget, in an apartment, in an urban setting, just finding ways of getting it done. We can do that. We really can do it. There's so much we can do, especially if we work together. But the models are in and the models are grim. The majority of Europe is on a collision course with an extreme May freeze. Heavy snows forecast for Scandinavia, the Alps, Germany, even the UK. And so April 2021 has been one of the coldest of the past 100 years. What will May bring? It's supposed to be flowers, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be blizzards.
Yeah, I want to see flowers.
Wildfires reach record high in Omsk as air pollution grips Novosibirsk. This is in western Siberia. And they're fighting wildfires as well. And the temperatures have been crazy. Moscow was actually well above normal. Everything is changing on this planet. What will it look like in 50 years? What will it look like in 2025? Well, if you're curious, don't go over to deagel.com because it was down. I was going to do a video about it, and it was down for like 36 hours. I didn't check after doing the other videos we did today. But I will take a peek again, and I wonder if it's down permanently. And that is, kind of feels ominous to me.
Yeah, it didn't feel right.
Lahar flows within the river system in the red and orange volcano hazard zones. This is over in St. Vincent. We've been watching La Soufriere, and La Soufriere has been doing its thing. So it's continuing on. By the way, a lahar is a rapidly flowing dense mixture of rock, ash, and water. And it could be deadly, so you have to be very, very careful and keep your eyes open if you are in the area. And, there are tornado warnings, by the way, that I'm seeing popping up over in Tennessee as we speak. So just for you guys to be aware of. So plague of locusts have hit Israel as well. Automatically, it makes you think of biblical plagues. The rivers turn to blood, the locusts. Time to mark the doors.
Yeah.
Record-breaking solar flare. This is what we were talking about over in Proxima Centauri. And this is just going over that study that they're talking about. And I just wanted to bring it up to make sure that I mentioned, I was just curious as to if anybody has any more information on the galactic superwave that's coming, because we've seen changes to the planets. We've seen changes to the outer planets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we still get that it's going to be a while before it affects Earth in the big way. Although, we're all getting bombarded by more and more energy every single day. And on the plus side, our DNA is being restored as we have, exited Kali Yuga, and we're heading out of that dark age and on the ascending path. And this is just disgusting. The extent of DDT dumping in the Pacific is staggering. So yes, they are intent on turning Earth into another Mars, into another Nibiru.
They are, and that's really sad. When I saw this, it just made my heart drop.
Yeah, it's horrible. And what they're talking about is more than 25,000 barrels that could possibly contain DDT dumped off Southern California coast near Catalina Island, where a massive underwater toxic waste site dating back to World War II has long been suspected. 27,345 barrel-like objects that were captured in high-resolution images. This also, off the coast of Malibu, is a very curious formation that looks like an entry almost. It really does look like an entry into perhaps the inner Earth. And I keep thinking, gotta make a video on that. Remind me, sweetie, and we shall.
Sure.
So, Moringa is the favorite superfood of doomsday preppers. It's one of them. Moringa is really powerful. We were talking about, Cindy and I, as soon as we actually get into a home, once again, actually have a house with running water and things like that, we'll be starting our days off with smoothies.
Yeah.
And, adding a lot of superfoods. Moringa will be one of them.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have moringa trees.
It's so powerful. There's so much good with moringa. So, I would definitely add this to your diet. Look at that, 25 times more iron than spinach, 17 times more calcium than milk, 0.75 times the vitamin C in oranges, 4 times the protein than eggs do, for the same amount of weight, of course. 15 times more potassium than bananas, and 10 times more vitamin A than carrots. That's a potent superfood.
That's some good stuff there.
It is. So, guys, thanks for being part of the family. Make sure you are subscribed. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We can't do it without you. If you need to set up an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com, and also EEARTS@protonmail.com. And do go and check out evolutionaryenergyarts.com if you're curious as to what we do and how we spend the other part of our days when we're not making videos.
Yeah, that's right.
As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.